Aries, have you ever felt that something was coming, something you couldn't quite name, an invisible force, as if the universe itself were moving closer to you, brushing gently against your soul, making everything that once felt familiar now feel strangely different? It's not fear, it's the call of destiny. From this moment on, everything in your life will begin to shift softly but deeply. The world around you may look the same, yet the way you see it has changed. And if you can feel that change stirring inside, stay here, Aries, because something is truly about to enter your life. Now, let's listen together to the very first whisper of transformation, the whisper of change. Time sometimes stops. Without warning, everything around you, Aries, seems unchanged. The same familiar street, the same morning coffee, the same blue sky above. Yet deep inside, something stirs. It isn't a breeze from outside. It rises quietly from within your chest, a trembling pulse that reason can't explain. It is the whisper of change, soft as breath, yet strong enough to make the soul tremble. When the soul begins to awaken, the world itself doesn't change. It's the way you feel it that transforms. The light seems deeper, the sound of the birds sharper. The wind against your skin whispers secrets you don't yet understand. That's when the universe begins to move, a current of energy approaching step by step, entering your life quietly but with certainty. It doesn't take human form nor appear as any event. It is a presence, an invisible beam of light, knocking gently on the door of your heart, waiting for you to open. The Buddha said, when old karma dissolves, new virtue begins to bloom. And before something beautiful arrives, there is always silence. But that silence isn't emptiness, it's preparation. Like a field resting after the harvest, waiting for new seeds to be sown. Like a still lake so that the moon can reflect upon it. The universe is doing the same for you, Aries, preparing your soul for a new season of growth. Change always comes quietly, for it doesn't need noise to prove its power. When your heart begins to hear the smallest sounds of life, you also begin to hear the footsteps of destiny, not thunder, but the steady rhythm of something long awaited, something you once prayed for in the dark. Perhaps you didn't realize. Those silent prayers, those tears you shed alone, were the seeds of this brighter dawn. Aries, the universe never forgets the words you whisper in silence. It only waits until you're ready to receive. And readiness isn't a grand action. It's that single, quiet moment when you admit, I'm tired of my past, I want to live again. And that's all it takes. The universe hears it. Many fear silence because they fear losing control. But in Buddhist wisdom, the moment you stop controlling is the moment you touch truth. When you stop forcing the river, the water begins to flow on its own. Life is the same. It never asked you to hold on, only to open. Now imagine this, Aries. A quiet night. You step out onto your balcony. The October air feels thick, filled with the scent of dry leaves and damp earth. You look up, and something in the stars brings you an unfamiliar peace. Nothing seems different, yet you know something is changing. A door in the unseen world is about to open. You may not see it yet, but new energy has already begun to move around you, in random encounters, in a phrase that lingers in your mind, or in that subtle feeling that you no longer belong where you once were. Don't be afraid. When the soul grows, the old shell must crack. It isn't loss, it's an invitation from life itself. Step out. There's more light waiting for you than you ever imagined. The real danger isn't change, it's staying still. When your soul is already reaching forward, the world is unfolding, and your name has been called within that symphony. Listen closely, Aries, for this calling doesn't come from outside, it rises from your very breath. Have you ever felt it? That strange moment when you know something is coming, but you can't explain what. It feels like standing before a great door, your heart racing not from fear but anticipation. The universe is choosing you to begin again. Share your story in the comments. If you felt this wave moving through your life, your story might become the mirror that guides someone still lost in the dark. And when you recognize that calling, let yourself flow with it as the river flows to the sea, because behind every whisper of change, there's a promise waiting, the promise of destiny. Something is coming closer, not to break you, but to open you. And there, within that gentle light, your true journey begins, where destiny knocks softly on your heart, asking you to return, to the place that has always been yours. Change rarely enters our lives with thunder. It arrives in a breath, soft, quiet, almost invisible. It begins with small things that seem unrelated, a simple conversation, a door closing, a morning when everything around you suddenly feels distant. But that is the moment destiny quietly slips into your life, Aries, not to destroy, but to open, not to take away, but to return what is rightfully yours. It comes like a breeze passing through a room long closed, carrying both the scent of freedom and the dust of memory. When that energy touches you, you'll notice the old things start to tremble. Relationships that once felt unbreakable grow silent. Plans that once felt certain lose their pull. And deep inside, you know, something is shifting. This is the moment most people fear, the moment when safety begins to dissolve. But fear only appears when the soul knows it's about to change. Fear isn't the end, it's the threshold, and only those who dare to cross it ever reach the land where they truly belong. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, nothing in life arrives to punish. Every disruption is simply a path home to your true self. When destiny enters, it doesn't ask if you're ready, it simply begins removing what you've clung to for too long. Old identities, old beliefs, old promises that no longer fit who you've become. Sometimes what we call stability is just a beautiful cage filled with light and comfort but no sky. Destiny comes to open that cage, not to make you afraid but to help you remember. You still have wings. Aries, you were born to move, to begin, to ignite. Yet through the long journey, your fire may have dimmed beneath the ashes of the past. New energy can't rise if you keep holding on to the ashes. That's why the old begins to fade. Not because it hates you, but because it has finished its purpose. Think of the people who once left. They came to teach you love, to teach you giving, to teach you how to lose, and then they left so you could learn how to stand again. Everything and everyone has a mission, and once that mission is complete, they go, making space for what's next. Don't curse the closing of a door. If it didn't close, you'd never notice the one beside it opening. Destiny never takes without giving in return. Sometimes the gift isn't material, it's clarity. It's that light in your chest, when you realize, I'm stronger than I thought. Remember this, Aries, destiny doesn't come to replace you. It comes to restore you, to give you back your rightful place, not out there in the world, but within your own consciousness. The place where you know who you are and what you deserve. If you're walking through change right now, pause, take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I losing something, or am I being set free? The answer won't come in words. It will come in a gentle ease in your chest, because the soul always knows when it's time to break free from its old shell. Destiny doesn't always arrive as a storm. Sometimes it comes as a quiet current. It slips into the corners of your life, illuminating what you've tried to avoid, revealing the truths you refuse to see, and somewhere within the pieces, you begin to recognize your true shape again. No more fear, no more hiding, just Aries reborn, silent, but radiant. If you feel that truth stirring inside you, share it in the comments below. Because when you tell your story, you don't just heal yourself, you light a candle for someone still lost in the dark. And when you finally understand that every loss had a reason, you'll realize what's coming next is nothing to fear. Because before the new can enter, Aries must do one sacred thing: make space for the light to come in. Every soul has its own season of cleansing. For Aries, that season often comes after the storm has passed, when the room of your life is still scattered with fragments of memories not yet put away, words left unsaid, and emotions sleeping quietly in the corners of your heart. No one ever teaches us how to clean the soul. But one day the exhaustion of holding on will whisper the truth. It's time. Morning arrives. You open the window. Light pours in and lands on layers of dust you never noticed before. Everything is still there: the half-read book, the faded photograph, the gift that once made you cry. And suddenly you realize you've been living inside the room of your past for too long. Every object, every memory carries energy. And when that energy no longer aligns with who you are now, it becomes weight. Cleansing doesn't mean forgetting. It means returning energy to the universe. When you release an object, you're not losing it. You're simply saying thank you for the role it played. When you delete a message, you're not denying emotion. You're gently telling yourself, I've learned what I needed to learn. Someone once asked, how do I know what needs to be cleared? The answer lies in feeling. Anything that makes you feel heavy, is ready to be set down. A crowded closet, a cluttered phone, a suffocating home, they're all mirrors of a mind still holding on. When you begin to arrange your physical space, energy starts to move again, and the current of life shifts with it. The Buddha said, "When the mind is still like a clear lake, all things reflect with clarity." Cleansing is the path back to that stillness. As your hands fold each item, treat it as a ritual of forgiveness, forgiving the version of yourself who once clung to things that no longer fit, simply because emptiness felt too frightening. Aries, you are the sign of beginnings, the first spark, the first fire. But for the flame to shine bright, the ashes must be carried away by the wind. Start small, tidy your desk, wipe the mirror, let go of the perfume bottle that has long dried up. With every new space that opens, you'll feel energy returning, light but unmistakable. Then comes the invisible clutter, memories unhealed, names that still echo in your mind. Write a letter, not to anyone else, to yourself. Say goodbye. Acknowledge that some things are meant to stay beautiful only in memory, not in the present. When that letter burns and turns to ash, you'll feel your heart rise with the smoke, weightless, free. Once the space around you is cleared, your body will be the first to respond. Your breath deepens, your sleep softens, your heart finds room to expand. Because new energy cannot live in an old room, it needs space to grow. Aries, are you holding on to something only because you're afraid of losing the memory? A gift, a picture, a message. Share it in the comments. Maybe your story will become the mirror that helps someone else see themselves. We never truly lose anything when we let go. We simply return energy to the universe so it can circulate and come back to us in a new, lighter, more radiant form. And when you look around and see your room brighter, your heart calmer, you'll understand. Cleansing isn't an ending, it's a rebirth ritual. As the new light filters through your window, your body shifts gently. It's beginning to speak its truth. And from this moment on, a deeper awakening is waiting for you, a place where your soul and your body begin to speak again, in the language of listening and love. There are voices that never make a sound, yet they speak through the quiet rhythm within us. That is the voice of the body, our most honest, most faithful companion, and yet the one we ignore the most. Aries, sometimes you run so fast, you don't notice how tired your body has become, how tense your heart feels, how shallow your breath has grown. You think you're being strong, but in truth, you're drifting away from yourself. The body is the first temple your soul ever chose to live in. Every ache, every sleepless night, every quickened breath is a small message. Stop, listen to me. But in the rush of life, we cover our ears, afraid that if we stop, we'll collapse. The truth is the opposite. Only when you stop can you stand firmly again. Some people wait until illness knocks on their door to listen. Some wait until their heart breaks to feel what's inside. But Aries, you don't have to wait for pain to scream before you learn to hear. Learn to listen in silence, with gentleness. When you place your hand over your chest and feel the pulse beneath your fingers, you are touching life itself, quiet, unseen, but absolutely real. The Buddha taught the body is the doorway to the mind. When the body is pure, the mind becomes clear. Your body isn't just a vessel for the soul, it's a mirror reflecting every emotion left unspoken. When you worry, your shoulders tighten. When you fear, your stomach contracts. When you're sad, your chest feels hollow. Every ache is a memory waiting to be released. And only when you listen, when you hold it with kindness, does the energy begin to flow again. Start with the simplest things, the ones we often forget in this noisy world. Breath, water, sleep, and silence. They're not just physical needs, they are the language of destiny. Breath is the bridge between body and soul. When you slow it down, your spirit softens too. Water carries the wisdom of softness. It teaches us how to adapt, to flow, to be clear without being weak. Sleep is the sacred space where the universe comes in to mend the cracks within you. And silence is the place where God prefers to speak. One day, when you're too tired to keep pushing, don't force yourself. Sit quietly, place your hand on your chest and ask, what do I need right now? The answer won't come from your mind, it will come as a feeling. Maybe you just need a deep sleep, a glass of water, or a moment to cry honestly. And only when you answer that call of the body does true healing begin. Aries, you were born under the fire of action, but even fire needs moments to rest, to find its warmth again from within. When you rest, you don't lose strength, you're being reborn. Your body is sacred ground. When tended with gratitude, it blossoms with flowers of power, clarity, and peace. Never underestimate the small things. A deep breath can change the direction of your day. A full night's sleep can change the tone of your heart. A single minute of silence can help you hear the whisper of your soul. We often chase miracles in grand gestures, forgetting that the real magic lives quietly in these small rhythms of life. If you're hearing this now, try one thing. Close your eyes, take a slow breath in. Feel it travel through every cell. That isn't just air, it's life itself. And that life has been waiting faithfully for you, even when you forgot it for so long. Aries, your body never lies. It knows when you're happy or hurt, when you're in love or falling apart. Honor it, as you would your soul, because when the body heals, the mind becomes clear, and in that clarity, miracles begin to take shape. Not from the outside, but from the gentle breath moving quietly within you. Sometimes, life falls into a silence so deep it almost feels sacred. No more crashing waves of emotion. No more resistance. No more need to prove anything. Only the sound of your breath, the gentle wind outside the window, and the strange feeling that time itself has slowed just enough for you to see everything has begun to flow again. Aries, you've always been the one who holds on, who pushes forward, who tries to steer life by sheer will. But then, the moment you let go, the moment you stop fighting, the miracle begins. The universe starts to cooperate with you. Like a river once dammed, now running free, everything begins to fall into place, not by effort, but by alignment. You start to understand one simple, sacred truth. Real strength doesn't come from control. It comes from harmony. When you move in rhythm with your own truth, life adjusts itself to move with you. That isn't magic, that's how the universe works. It reflects whatever energy you send out. When you radiate trust, the world begins to trust you back. Some days seem ordinary, yet hold deep transformation within them. You wake up, see sunlight spilling through the curtains, and peace fills your chest for no reason at all. You smile at a stranger and they smile back. Everything suddenly feels easy, as if the air itself has softened around you. That is the moment you step into balance, that rare alignment where body, mind, and soul move together in the same rhythm. In Buddhist wisdom, they call it Tai Dhyern Nhi letter 1 E5TB I letter 1 EBFN, to flow with life without losing your essence. When you stop resisting, life carries you exactly where you need to be, the right place, the right time, the right people. You no longer ask when. You no longer wonder what if. You simply live, and every door opens by itself. People say miracles only appear in rare, extraordinary moments, but the truth is, miracles are happening all the time, in a breath, in a glance, in the calm of an unremarkable afternoon. Because miracles don't arrive with thunder, they arrive in the silence of a peaceful heart. Aries, have you ever felt that? That one day out of nowhere, everything becomes light. Work flows easily, people are kinder, and you don't have to force anything anymore. Maybe that was the moment the universe opened its doors for you. Share it in the comments, because sometimes just one story of yours can remind someone else that peace isn't the destination, it's the path itself. You're in a time when everything is beginning to connect. The scattered pieces are finally forming a picture, and what you need now isn't more speed, it's more trust. Every small thing, a glance, a bird's song, a sudden calm, is the universe's way of saying, you're on the right path. So let yourself drift with the current, Aries. No forcing, no fighting, no trying to change the flow. Because when you surrender to it, the water carries you home to the place where you were always meant to be. And there, at the end of this gentle river, a new sky begins to open, a horizon glowing with light, where destiny waits, smiling softly just for you. The dawn of a new era never arrives with noise. It comes quietly, like the first light of morning slipping through a half-open window, touching the face of someone smiling in their sleep. Aries, you are standing in that very moment, where the world is no longer a battlefield, but a companion walking beside you. The time of fighting against everything is over. No more proving, no more fearing that if you let go, everything will fall apart. Now you understand strength doesn't come from holding on, but from trust. Trusting yourself, trusting the rhythm of life, trusting that the universe always works with more precision than even the most careful plans of humankind. A new era is unfolding, one where you no longer have to fight to be seen, no longer have to shout to be loved, no longer have to be perfect to find peace. That peace comes when you stop forcing yourself to become someone else, when you finally allow yourself to simply be. When your heart is calm, the world reflects that calm back to you, like a lake that turns crystal clear, only when the wind stops stirring its surface. Aries, you once spent your youth chasing everything you thought mattered: success, approval, love, recognition. But now you see, those were only mirrors reflecting what you were searching for all along: the feeling of being accepted, being loved, being worthy. And when you learn to love yourself, the world softens in return. One morning you'll step outside. Everything looks the same trees, the same street, familiar faces, but something in you has changed. It's not the world that shifted, it's the light within you. You no longer wait for someone to save you because you've become your own savior. You no longer chase happiness far away because you've found it here in your breath, in a warm cup of tea, in the gentle gaze you offer to another soul. The miracle of this new era is its simplicity. A day that isn't special but feels complete. A life without drama yet full. A heart without storms yet always warm. We don't need to control life. We just need to be honest with it. Each time you live truthfully, every breath, every gesture, every word becomes sacred because you're living from your soul, not from fear. Aries, what you once waited for from the outside, validation, love, light, was simply the part of you that had been asleep. And now that part has awakened. You are meeting yourself again, not the tired, uncertain version of the past, but the pure, steady, compassionate essence of your soul. When that happens, life begins to move in harmony. Everything flows with ease because you no longer swim against the current. So allow yourself to keep walking without rushing. Life isn't a race, it's a journey to be savored. You don't need to run anymore because what's meant for you will always find you once your heart is still. The universe is never late, it simply waits until you are truly ready to receive. And when you stand at the threshold of peace, you'll feel something miraculous. The distance between you and the world disappears. Everything feels familiar, as if you've been here before, as if you've always been a part of this light. But there's one more layer, Aries, a deeper place, where this light not only illuminates the present, but awakens the memory of your soul. A stage where you realize that what has entered your life was never something from the outside, it was yourself returning. The part of you that once waited to be seen, now coming home, to complete what was left unfinished, to reconnect, and to make you whole again. Aries, when the winds of life have finally stopped howling, when the ground beneath your feet no longer trembles, a different kind of silence begins to bloom, the silence of awareness. In that stillness, you suddenly understand the something that has entered your life was never a stranger, never a person, never a promise from the outside. It is the part of your own light that had fallen asleep within you, now gently waking, softly whispering, "I've been here all along." Awakening isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. It's realizing you were never truly lost, only forgetting the way home. Every fall, every heartbreak, every moment that once felt meaningless was never wasted. Each was a step on the staircase that led you back to yourself, to the soul you were before. Now you no longer chase the light because you've discovered you are the light. Everything you once sought outside yourself, comfort, recognition, salvation, dissolves like mist when your heart finally opens. The real transformation doesn't come from the outside. It begins within when you learn to forgive yourself. For the years you carried too much, for the choices that hurt, for the silence you kept, just to be loved by someone else. And when you accept yourself, the world shifts with you, not because it has changed, but because your eyes now see differently. Those who once caused pain become the teachers who showed you how to love better. The failures that once broke you turn into lessons of resilience. Everything begins to make sense once you stop blaming and start thanking. Aries, live like the breath, not force, not strain, just present. Let the days flow as easily as the river. Be part of that natural current. Life never asked you to be strong all the time, only to be honest with what you feel. When sadness comes, let the tears fall. When joy visits, let your laughter rise. When you're tired, pause and be still. In that stillness, the soul rests, and life begins again. If you've ever felt that quiet rebirth inside, that moment you realized, you no longer need to search for happiness, because it has always been within you, share that story. Your voice might be the lantern for someone still walking through the dark, because every time one person tells their story of coming home, the whole world heals a little more. And then you'll see life isn't a puzzle to be solved. It's a melody, sometimes sorrowful, sometimes radiant, but always true. Once you hear your own rhythm, you'll no longer fear being out of tune. You'll know that everything that ever happened was never in vain. Every pain opened a window for the light to enter, for you to see yourself more clearly. Thank you for being here, for listening, for walking this path of awakening. May the light within you always guide your way, and may your heart remain wide enough to welcome all the beauty that is still on its way to you.